Hi everybody. Today we are going to make a picture of some baby birds in a nest. I thought that would be really nice. So you can see I have a picture in front of me of a little nest with some baby birds in it, and I can count 3 little tiny birds. So I'm going to draw up on the top of my page a circle, an oval, an irregular shape, triangle, rectangle, and a little square. And I'm going to have a little think about those shapes when I'm looking at my photograph to try and figure out how will I draw my picture. So I guess the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to draw the nest, and I think that my nest should be a semicircle shape like this, so that the baby birds can actually fit inside of the nest. And then on top of that, I would see that I can see all little branches. So I'm going to draw a branch from a tree, and that's where the nest is going to be sat on. It's going to be on a branch. And maybe I could have another branch here, and I'm going to draw them like a big letter Y. And then I can see the baby birds, and I can see the baby bird's head, and I'm going to draw a circle. And then the body, I'm going to draw a bigger circle. Then I can see that the baby bird has its beak open, and I'm going to draw 2 triangles for the baby bird's open beak. And I can see its eye is an oval. And a black circle inside. And I'm going to draw my 3 little baby birds like this. Maybe this one is going to be looking up straight ahead like this. So they're all looking straight ahead like this. And I'm going to draw another body shape here. And maybe this little baby bird is going to be looking the other way, like this. Now, and we could have some little music shapes coming out of them, because maybe they're chirping. And because they're in a tree, they're probably going to have all of the leaves of the tree hiding them, so that they're kind of camouflaged. So I'm going to decorate my page with lots of leaves all around the edges. Then maybe you can see that the nest is made up of all different twigs. So I think it might be a nice idea if I make a nice nest effect. And I'm going to do all scribbles like this all over my nest shape. I think that looks pretty cool. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to paint in my bird's picture. So before I start painting, I'm going to rub away the basic shapes that we drew. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my big paintbrush, and I'm going to paint in all of my details. So with this big brush, I'm going to just wash it out to make sure it's nice and clean. And then I'm going to use that then to get my blue. And I'm going to start off with the sky colour first. So I'm going to go around the edges of my sky. So the sky is touching everything in the picture. And I'm going to go inside all of the shapes. Now, if you're using watercolor paint like this, it's very important that you put lots of water on it and spread it with some water so that the colors spread nicely. Okay, and I'm trying to paint in and leave no gaps in the sky. And you can see that the shape of my paintbrush actually fits inside of the mouth of the bird and goes around the shapes nicely, like this. And even because the tree is up high, you can see the sky through the branches as well. So I'm going to do all of the blue sky all around. Like that. Okay, next step. Now I'm going to paint in my little birds. So I might actually do one of my birds. I think purple might be nice. And I know the picture of the birds that I had, they weren't purple, but I can make up my own colours. And I think purple on this little bird here would be quite nice. Now, I don't want to have a blue bird because I have a blue sky. And I'm not going to do a green bird because I want to save green for my leaves. And also I want to save some brown colour for my tree branches. So I think I'm going to do a purple, I'm going to do a red bird, and I'm going to do an orange bird. So they're going to be all just multicoloured birds. And then I'm going to save some yellow for the beaks on my birds. And you can see that I'm very neatly and carefully painting around all of the shapes. And if you don't have paint, you can use other things as well. You could maybe use colouring pencils, you could use markers, twistables, anything, crayons, pastel, whatever things you have at home, you can use those to colour in your art. I just have some paint here and I thought that this picture would be nice as a painting for me. But you guys will have your own ideas as well, which is great. Now I'm going to use actually a smaller brush, and this little tiny brush came with my set and it's really good for small things like the beak. So I'm going to make my yellow very nice and wet, and I'm really trying to get a lot of paint to come onto my paintbrush for the yellow on my beak. You can see how bright that is now. And you can see sometimes it's very hard to paint in small things, and if you make a little mistake, it's okay. Just let the paint dry and then you can colour over it another way. It doesn't matter. You can always change a mistake into something else. Now, I'm going to use this kind of yellowy colour here, and I'm going to use that for my nest, because my nest, I think my nest should be kind of like a straw colour. But I'm going to get some brown pastel first, and I'm actually going to scribble some texture on top of my nest like this. And then I'm going paint on top of all of that scribble with my kind of brownie shade. And you can see here now that the paint actually fills in all the gaps of the scribbles, and I think it looks really good. Okay, so there's my nest colour. And now I'm going to use some of this nice dark brown, and I'm going to do my branches with this. And if you wanted, you could draw like a wood effect on your branch as well, if you like. That can look really cool if you want it. You can see my branch now, it looks really nice. Now with my leaves, I'm going to get some dark green pastel. Actually, this one's blue. And I'm actually going to draw on it with some pastel before I paint my green. So I'm using like a dark green for this part. And then when I paint them, I'm going to paint them in this really bright colour green. And it's really important that you try and get as much paint on your brush as you can. And then I'm going to use the shape of my brush now to paint over my leaf. And you can see where the pastel is, that the paint can't stick to the pastel because it's watercolour paint. And it just looks really good. Now, some really nice bright leaves. Even if you wanted, you could even paint some of the green over the sky if you want, because green, part of the recipe for green is blue and yellow. So if you actually paint green on top of blue in watercolor, it'll actually just stay green because blue is in the recipe for green. And these leaves, then we'll just add a little bit more sort of detail. I have a dark green color on my little watercolor palette, and maybe that might be nice to mix in as well. So I could maybe do some little shapes on top of my leaves just to add some more detail and some different shades. And you can see I could do lots of little brush marks all the way around, all around the edges, to make it look like the birds are in a little nest. Okay. If you have any other decorations that you'd like to stick on, you could do that too. You could get some glue and you could stick on some kind of extra bits. Like you can see here, I have some brown paper, and if you have some brown paper and some PVA glue, you could scrunch up bits of paper, and you could also stick that on to your nest, and that will make your nest more 3D. And you can see here how that's kind of given my nest a kind of fluffy effect. If you have any kind of, you might even have some feathers, and you could decorate your little birds in your nest with some extra feathers. That would look really good. And sometimes some people might even have some green paper. I have this little pad of paper here that I got in the supermarket, and it has some green paper here. And if you want it as well, I have 2 sheets taken out, and we've done this before, where if you fold it up a couple of times, and then if you draw I'm thinking we could draw some leaf shapes. And this is going to look really good too. We could have lots and lots of leaves then. And if you fold them in half like this, you might need an adult to help you with this part. And I'm going to dip the end of my leaf in some glue. And then you could even have some extra 3D leaves around the edge of your picture. Your little birds could be hiding underneath those. And I think that looks really great now in my picture. I'm also going to maybe get some marker and I could draw in on these leaf shapes. All of the different textures for the leaf. Because it's spring now and all the trees are all starting to grow and all the baby animals are all starting to come out and be born. So I thought that this would be really nice for us to do. Okay, so there's my art now, and I can't wait to see what you guys make. So I hope you enjoy making a lovely picture like this, and I can't wait to see you soon. Okay, bye.